Lucys Rausch is a magazine, and they talk about psychedelic stuff. It's originated in Switzerland in the 60s or 70s, in the psychedelic era. And they reached out, asked me to write an article about Amanita. And I did. It's in German. Let me show you the page. This is the article. It is in German. And I guess because it was in German, I didn't think to let you guys know. Most of the people that watch my channel speak English, and I didn't know. That's my picture of one of my Amanitas. They used a lot of my pictures. That's pretty cool. Anyway, someone posted a link to someone here on YouTube reading this article in German in a video. And I just watched it. I didn't even know it existed. So I was like, okay, I should then read it in English for everybody in the English speaking world that can't read it in German in the magazine. So if you want to hear it, here we go. I have decided to give away a free month in my membership community. And if you're watching this in 2023, this coupon code will be good for it. But as of the uploading of this video right now, we're doing a show and tell in the community tonight. I always do a Zoom on the first Saturday of every month if you want to like come hang out or whatever. So look in the description of this video if you want a coupon code and sign up for a free month and then come hang out with us. But the instructions are there. I grew up with no connection to a history or practice or even much of a cultural experience. I'm science-based by training and taught high school science and wrote books for educators. But in 2008, a natural disaster took everything and triggered severe panic attacks, which caused me to end up on benzodiazepines. And this is how the Amanita muscaria mushroom changed my life. 5 years of Klonopin use started affecting my mind, and early onset dementia started to creep in. I spent another 5 years trying to taper off this drug, only to endure nightmares of pain, panic, and a hell that only those who have experienced this understand. I was eventually so exhausted, I planned to end my life. One day, sitting on the back deck, I heard a voice tell me that I needed to visit the woods behind my house before I left the planet. It was very compelling and seductive, and I had to go. Almost immediately, I found a brightly colored red-orange mushroom. I plucked it from the ground and ran home to learn what it was. After much research about Amanita muscaria and finding more of them, I made a tea and drank it. And they saved my life. I was free of all symptoms, panic, anxiety, and pain. I began to live in a way I had not before. I woke up energized and happy and motivated every day. I needed very little sleep and was creative and productive. But soon I started hearing that same voice again. You should tell them, it would whisper. Many people are suffering. They need to know. You should make videos and correct all the bad information. And eventually, you really need to do this now. I thought I must be crazy and that this mushroom has made me so. But I did it. And that began Amanita Dreamer, the person, the channel, and the website. That voice continued to grow louder. Other people would write to me about how the mushroom called to them too, how that mushroom voice compels them as well. I worried about losing the respect of the science community, but also I could not deny this voice and how loud, loving, and deep it was. I finally went public with this information and talked about the mushroom voice. I said that they missed us and that they hoped the humans come back to using muscaria. I decided to smoke it on camera to answer questions I read online about this practice, and almost immediately those voices arrived with beings behind them, with bodies of a sort, with hundreds of thousands of deeply wise beings of consciousness. They tutored me, taught me, loved me, and counseled me. It was profound. Over time, I came to understand for the first time in my life what the elders, the gods, and the ancestors truly meant. I realized that they were not just made-up stories, that the gods and ancestors are real. I learned that smoking large amounts of Amanita muscaria would bring them into focus, and I learned that I could speak with them, not just listen. And they told me. They told me that the most important thing for the humans to do today is to return to the practice of celebrating the solstices and equinoxes with drums, smoking Amanita, dancing, visiting the underworld, and being with our people in unison. Allow me to quote the Amanita here. Dear dreamer, we have missed you all so much. We have been together for thousands of years. We have listened to your stories, your fears, your joys, and celebrations. We were there when the ice marched. We were there when the rivers changed course. We were with you when you made new tools and found new ways. We heard you cry for loved ones and rejoice at births. We are part of you and you are part of us. But a great divorce happened, and suddenly the humans went away. We were saddened and have grieved you and the loss for hundreds of years now. We have watched you become sick and afraid. Knowing we could help, we have chosen to work harder to use the nutrients available to us to learn to grow closer to you in hopes that you would find us again. We rejoice in your return, and we also cry with happiness and joy and celebration. We have missed you. When I started speaking this on camera, I was not admonished or made fun of. I was embraced. The message was heard, and more people asked for more information. It was almost like the humans remembered too. I slowly started creating these ceremonies, and the power of them has been beautiful. I understand now what they mean and why they are so important. Of course, we are just at the beginning of this. I teach as I go and speak and show others. But in true ceremony, there are just drums for days and lots of celebration. It's an experience that should last over days, not hours, and that should be repeated every few months. It's not a one-time fix-all solution. It's a practice, a ritual, a cleansing for mental, emotional, and spiritual hygiene. How our ancestors practiced this and how I teach it today are different, but the hope is that long after I leave, the folks in attendance begin this in their community and start creating this as a quarterly ritual practice for everyone. In this way, we can revive this important tradition and connection between the humans and the fungi. And they showed me. An Amanita Muscaria ceremony is not a solemn affair. It is not a dose in a room in the dark. It is lots of smoking and drinking the tea around a fire with drums and yelling and singing and movement. It is a ruckus, a loud and boisterous experience. We visit the underworld. Loki comes and makes us dance. Thor arrives and takes us to the power deep within ourselves. We unearth our anger and shame, pain and evil, and we expand into trance states of bliss like hugs from the mushroom. Many cultures and people have evolved for thousands of years with these practices. And we dance together. When the ceremony begins, we start with smoking and the tea. We have hookahs for those new to smoking, but hopefully, eventually, each person will have their own pipe that has meaning, a ceremonial pipe. A large cauldron of tea would have been the methods of the past, but today a large container makes sense as each person can take as they see fit, making sure to use some every 20 minutes, waiting to see if they have any cramping or nausea as a sign to back off the tea and smoke more. As we begin drumming, we learn to move and sway, to move those stuck feelings from events since the last ceremony, but in our case today, to move as much as we can, since most people are starting new to this practice. Drums are vital to the process, and we can drum at home alone and get healing, and we should, and we can use Amanita without drums, and we should, and we can gather around a fire without either drum or mushroom, and we should. But something unique happens when all three come together. The trance state created by the drums are written deep in our bodies, from the womb drum of Mother's heart to back in time from all of our human ancestors who have drummed into trance states for healing, to traveling with the spirits. When we add the Amanita, we propel ourselves into another world. As we move closer to the trance state, we unleash the anger, the shame, and helplessness and resentment. We growl and yell, gyrate and move, giving honor to the demons of the shadow, the underworld, our dark selves, allowing it to rise fearlessly. We give it honor and permission to be loud and rise up, and then, as quickly as it comes, it goes. As we continue, we find a love sweeps into our heart. We find forgiveness comes naturally, and we see that it is all okay. We begin to remember to love ourselves and those around us. The drums soothe us into deeper states. We watch others cry and feel their release and self-love and glow. And as we calm and settle, I begin to gently guide us all into deeper states where we learn how to work with the elders and ancestors. We learn how to time travel, how to listen to their wisdom and advice, and we learn who the mushroom voice belongs to. We meet them and feel the memory of the relationships we used to have with them. And as my voice grows quiet, I leave everyone to fly among the stars and souls and gods as we listen to the creatures of the night. But the real power comes after it is over, when we sleep and in our waking states of alpha, theta, and delta, where we see visions that some call lucid dreaming. We engage alone with the mushroom voice on a deep level where things change. Our brains are tweaked, we grow, shed old fears, and awake in a new life, refreshed and anew. Some who attend say they didn't feel much from the experience, and this is where many people can say that it's just not time. The mushroom in its wisdom is not allowing it yet. I've learned that people who use cannabis may have very little experience with Amanita, but also many of them wind up still feeling like they want to stop using the cannabis and try the mushroom again. Did the mushroom teach them this? There are some medications that interfere with it, and some people with ADD have paradoxical reactions to stimulants, and they may have a hard time feeling the exciting part of the mushroom. But I've noticed that it does seem like those who said they didn't feel much were either still very new on their journey or were dealing with deep and difficult trauma that perhaps, dare I say it, the mushroom felt was not wise to deal with in this place at this time. Sometimes I hear from these people the next day or a week later about the anger that was unearthed. Some say that they tell me they noticed many of the same things most of us experience. It was just delayed. We all feel differently. We have energy, focus, positive outlooks, anger, and fear, less anxiety, more motivation to embark on projects that we've put off for a long time. We are positive and hopeful, excited, and are experiencing synchronicities. We have answers to problems that have perplexed us for a long time, and the answers seem easy and simple. Our work is easier, and what we need seems to just land in front of us. Is it necessary to trip or feel the effects to also get the benefits to this experience? To say that this one experience is the experience of Amanita would be doing a great injustice to the mushroom. This is merely one aspect of its abilities. Microdosing protocols introduce the power of time shifting, the power of the self, and easing inner trauma from early ages. Macrodosing the tea gives faster healing and deeper lessons. And large doses take us to dimensions that seem to be alternate timelines and realities where we can bring home the best versions of ourselves. Smoking Amanita alone has transcendent properties, and stacking it with other herbs and entheogens can take us to more magical places. There is more research on this magic being finally, and some are hinting at an anti-inflammatory properties and immune-boosting properties, MAOI properties, nervous system disorder healing, ADHD treatments, pain management, and many others. This is why I'm in love with the magical Amanita Muscaria. It saved me, and in return I live to share her secrets with you. And they blessed me. Today I get to travel and meet many people holding this sacred ceremony, eating their food, exchanging gifts and experiences. I get to film a documentary and visit places I would not have been to otherwise. I have my own online spaces free from censorship, even though this mushroom is legal in almost every country, including my own. I woke up from a non-existent life into a life so full and rich that I struggle with the abundance of it. I hope this finds you curious and wanting to meet the Amanita. They miss you. They miss us. And it seems to me, in a time like this, we could all use a little sunshine and a red mushroom with white dots. Thanks for listening. I love you, beautiful people.